Good evening, family and friends, and welcome to Talking After Dark. I'm glad that you could join me on this lovely evening, and I hope that wherever you are, that things are going absolutely well. I so appreciate you joining me here for today's topic of dating with children. If you're dating and you do have children, certainly that has to be a challenge for you, and perhaps not. But I do want to have the conversation about it because I know that dating with children or having children while you're dating can be a quite complex situation. So here's a question for you. How much information do you give your children about your dating habits or the people that you date? Do you seek their permission about about dating? Do you introduce the person that you're dating to your children? And if you do, when did you do that? How long did you wait to introduce your children to your significant other? Or perhaps you don't introduce them at all. You date, you don't allow your dates to come to the house with your children. If they do come over, your children are not there. And if you do introduce them to your children, at what point, at what time is it safe? Is it right? Is it wrong? Or let's talk about that. I'm sure there are people that want to know what does that look like. Do you allow your children to pick for you? Do you ask them whether or not you can date someone, or are you ready to date, or are they ready to meet somebody new in your life? You know, a lot of times when you've been with your children for a while and you've been without dating, it's hard to get into the dating game when you have children. It really doesn't matter how old they are. Sometimes the younger they are, people say the better it is to date when they're young because they don't really know what's going on. They don't understand the dynamics of that. And then when they're older, the other situation is that now that they're older and they do know who their father is or their mother is, and they have a loving relationship with them, although you're no longer together, they don't take too kindly to you seeing someone else. That could be a problem in itself. Now, granted, you're grown and you can do what you want to do. I got it, and we understand all of that. But your children have an uncanny way of letting you know their approval or disapproval of you dating someone new. So you have a right to date. You have a right to have a life beyond your last relationship. So, but what does that look like with children in the household? Do you ask the question, can you bring somebody over? Are they okay if you bring somebody over to meet them? And if you do bring them over to meet them and they don't like them, will that change your attitude about the person that you bring over? Will you not date them because they don't meet your children's approval? Or will you disregard what the children say and think and date them anyway? See, it can be quite complex. So, and I'm sure many of you have had experiences with that I would love for you to share with us and with others, that they too can figure this thing out and how to proceed with dating with children, because it's not that easy. Your children can make your dating situation up. They can make them a happy occasion, a joyous one, or they could just make it quite miserable. But nevertheless, you cannot ever exclude your children from the things that are going on in your life. Do you have to tell them everything? No, you don't. But if you're going to be dating someone for a long period of time, I think they have a right to know that you're dating, and you decide or you determine when to bring them over to the house, or at what age it's a good time to bring your date over to the house. Your children are like pets, so to say. You know, a dog or a cat has a different demeanor when you bring people over to the house. They fight for the attention that they think they're about to lose. They feel some kind of way. They act some kind of way, as does your children will do. I think there's an old saying that if you take the cow, you have to take the calf too. And all that means is that if you date someone with children, then certainly however you feel about that person you're dating, you have to accept that about their children as well. You cannot ever allow yourself to get between them and their children. I've heard of instances where other women or other men have chastised the children of the person they're dating. I'm not particularly fond of that. of course, now it depends on how long you've been dating this person and what kind of relationship you and the person you're dating have with your children. If it's somebody you've been dating for a short span of time, chastising your children should never be allowed. But if this is somebody you've been dating for years and they have a relationship with your children, they're helping you to take care of your children, then absolutely chastising them is a part of that relationship. Now, how far does that go? And what is the amount of chastising that you would allow this person to have in your children's life? That's a conversation that should be discussed with you and this other person prior to any type of physical contact with your children. Your children are very precious. They are precious jewels, and relationships can be long tenured or they can be short. But whatever they are, you are going to have that conversation both with your children and with the person you're dating. I know sometimes that having children and dating, if you allow that relationship to go on without allowing your children to be a part of that, it's going to be a living hell for you. I promise you will. If your children are of age where they understand and they see that you're devoting a lot of time and a lot of attention to someone else besides them, they're going to feel some kind of way, and they're going to think that you're putting this person before them, and they're going to have a problem with it. And you'll know it because they'll begin to act out. They'll begin to be disrespectful and talk to you in any kind of way. They will not do the things that you ask them to do. They are going to fight back to get that attention that they feel like they're losing or that they have given up to someone new. They are not going to take kindly to that. So I would like to discuss with you and with the audience some of the things that have happened in your relationship with your children and your dating. I would like for others to offer some advice to some of our other listening audience that can help them to navigate this situation between dating and their children, because this is a hard situation to delegate, and we have to do it in such a way that we'll have to always be mindful that the children must always come first, and that every consideration must be given to that. No person, man or woman, should enter into your space, into the space of your children, without you having some dialogue about that. And that dialogue should be inclusive of the person you're dating and your children as well, whether it is done collectively or individually. But that conversation has to be had. It just has to happen. So I would encourage you to think about what you're doing when it comes to dating with your children. I would ask you to consider what that picture looks like for them and not just you, because they do matter. What they say matter, how they feel matter, how they relate to the person that you are dating. All of that matters, and all of that has to be taken in consideration. You can't just go from one relationship to the next without making your children a part of that process. Your children have feelings, and you can't just ignore them because you're the parent. This is a lot of times why we have these issues in our relationships when we have children, because we don't listen to these children. We don't give them the opportunity to express themselves and give them the answers that they're looking for. It does not mean that you have to agree with them. It does not mean that you have to tell them all of your business. It does not mean that you have to make your life miserable or not date because your children are still stuck on the other person. It's okay for you to move on. It's okay for you to be in that space, but you need to remember that the children must always come first. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'm looking so forward to hearing your comments about this topic. Thank you, and God bless.